pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Randy?
Here.
Trustee Early?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
And Mr. Milotto is
Absent.
absent.
The only one with any sense.
It's on tape.
He's sitting there having a cocktail in the Adirondack. I guess he should be here. Anyway, welcome everyone to the monthly meeting. We'll get things going here. Report Police Department. Larry.
Good evening, everybody. For the month of July, we had 73 calls for service, giving us a total of 450 calls for the year so far. That's about halfway. Halfway for the year, I should say. We had no arrests last month. We had 49 moving violations, 134 parking summonses for a total of 183 for the month, and for the year we're at 781. A couple of quick things. We had a few things going on last month. We purchased a boot about 2 or 3 months ago. It's a yellow boot. It's for scofflaws. Basically, I check with the court and make sure whoever has over $200 or more in parking summonses, we get the registration, the plate, and everything that holds the tickets. They're given an opportunity to come in and pay. If they do not pay, and one of my officers sees the car on a village street, they will boot it, meaning the car will be disabled until they come in and satisfy the tickets. So with that, we booted one vehicle. It was our first vehicle booted. They owed over $450 worth of summonses. The summonses they owed dated all the way back to a car that they leased that they turned back in again. They turned it in, so they didn't even have that vehicle, and they had more tickets on the new vehicle that they had. So they come in, they paid that in full, and we removed the boot. Since then, we had two other scoffs come in and pay their summonses in full. One totaling between the one we booted and the two people that came in to pay approximately $975 that was owed to the village in back summonses. So I guess the word on the boot got out, and everybody's paying. So it's $200. If you owe $200 or more, please come in and pay your summonses ASAP. Got a quick had a quick meeting with the county. I talked to with an intel meeting we had with all the surrounding counties that we have a meeting, all the law enforcement, and there's been a rash again of break-ins in vehicles. Basically, it's not really break-ins. I should subtract that. A band of people going into small villages, trying the cars, open them up. If they're open, they're taking whatever in there, and they're hitting the villages all in one night. Kent got hit, Connecticut got hit, and I believe Southeast got hit. I'm not positive on that. So I implore you to please lock your vehicles, lock your doors. Do not give them any opportunity to go through your stuff. I know in the village of Cold Spring, I leave my doors open sometimes in my house. Please make sure all your vehicles are locked, because they're not really breaking in. They're just trying to see what's an easy grab. And that goes also to businesses and doors and stuff like that when you're not home. Again, if you're going to be on vacation, please come and fill out a dark house check that the date you'll be away. Fill it out with the village. My officers get it. They will go around either once or twice during their shift. They'll look at your house, check the doors, check the windows, and check everything. It's a really good tool that we have. You know that you're not going to be there. So this way we make sure we go around and we patrol that a couple of extra times and no patrolling. We did have a wine fest over the weekend. We had a really bad problem with parking. They were parking all over the place, right under the sign that said do not parking, no standing, no stopping. My guys told me they tried to get in to fill up our police cars with gas on Saturday. They could not get near the pumps. So I know we had let them come into the highway garage, the vendors, to park there. They parked wherever they wanted. So going forward, we really need to kind of tighten that up a little bit on where they can park, or they're going to have somebody down there and show them where they can park or not. We had them originally coned off. We coned off the pumps so we can get to them, but they took every spot to get to the pumps. So basically, they parked around the cones, and they started to try to park back where we keep our vehicles. Other than that, I haven't heard anything bad about the Wine Fest. No complaints. Everything I think went pretty well. Looked like everybody had a good time, and that's about it.
Okay. Are you gonna be? Are you sticking around for a while?
Yep.
Because when we have the hop thing, I want
Yep.
to
No problem.
That's one of the things, was parking and options, which are limited, but also ways of better signage definitely
Sure.
is a problem.
Yep.
I mean, we had no signage, I went down that, or 6 o'clock that morning, putting some signs up, and I thought that I had figured out the gas pump and put the cones, but then I realized if you park all around it.
You can't get to them, yeah, so it has to be kind of a lane to going through, but even with this, one of my officers that called me, even with the signs that were put up going down Fair Street where the hikers used to park, and now there are no parking signs on both sides of the block, they would just park in there, abandon their vehicles, leaving, and one driver actually said to one of my officers, "Why are you giving me a ticket?" And he says, "You're parked directly under that sign that says no parking on this side of the street," and she had a complaint. And I'm like, well, if you don't read the sign, then you wouldn't get down.
When did the signs go up and who put them up?
The signs were put up, we had temporary signs put up, and then I requested to remove the wooden signs, because they're being knocked over by rain, wind, and stuff like that. And we had put them up with metal stanchions, so now that they're permanent. So this way nobody can knock them over, pull them out, throw them on the ground, and said there was no sign that they didn't see. I think it's a great tool that's up there now. You can actually get down Fair Street. The hikers don't park there, they go all the way over to where, I guess, where Little Stony Point is, and they park down there. Because you know, I mean, you've been here long enough that you go down there on a Saturday or Sunday, and they're just leaving the vehicles on the side of the road, and you can't even you barely can get a small car down there, never mind a fire truck or a garbage truck to, do what we need to do at the village on the weekends.
I think one of the problems with the signs, no parking this side, is they're not, they start and then stop, and then there's a huge gap, and then people are parking there, and then people who buy the signs then think, well, all those cars are okay there, and then they have there. Because it starts at Springbrook, there's 2 signs, I think, or 1 sign, but that's only a couple spots. Then from the driveway, like Schatzels, across John Martin's, and all across there, there's nothing all the way to the end of there. People were parking there, and then the signs start again, so I think we might need a few more signs to work on that.
Well, that's something I brought up a couple meetings ago about going through the whole village, about putting up signage and stuff like that, and properly saying no parking from here to either the next sign, and have another sign with the arrow so they can read
Exactly, that'd be
it.
good.
But I guarantee you, they're gonna people won't even look at that. But no, we need to really tighten that up a little bit, and we can do that, as soon as we get on that, and really get the signs taken.
Grant
for the-
slacking.
for the whole village.
They sent it.
No,
Sent it to
I got it.
me.
No.
All right, thanks. Just also at the Festival there was some, of course, there's Facebook people saying no tickets were given out or anything. I think I talked to the officers in charge on Saturday, they gave out 40, and that was not including Nico, the guy that walks around. So they were busy giving out tickets. It wasn't for a lack of enforcement or the police not doing their job.
The total number, I'm sorry, the total number of tickets, we counted them up, there's 76 summonses written.
What's that?
76 summonses between Saturday and Sunday. That's including Nico and the whole village, besides illegal cars parked down on Fair Street, and the municipal lot.
Okay, thank you. Okay, recreation.
Speaking of parking, we met, the Recreation Commission met at the end of July, and we also felt that our application process needed to be tightened up in quite a few areas. One of them you see in the notes here is the parking at the Pavilion, Mayor's Park. Are we gonna let cars park within, the fence? How many, if we should? That's something we need to discuss either at a trustees workshop or the commission should come to you with a suggestion. At the beer festival, the Hops Festival, there are quite a few cars parked inside the pavilion. And of course, that we did have parking issues that weekend also with a lot of cars parked at the highway department. I don't think there was an issue with the vendor parking that event.
No, they just needed to be a little in line, so we can get
Yeah.
the vehicles in
Yeah,
there.
so that's again something. And then the question we have is, should vendor parking be included in the application for ticketed events? In other words, we should just assume that they understand that if they're going to have vendors come and the vendors have to park, then they're also gonna have to, it's gonna be mandatory that they rent the park space behind the highway department, because that eliminates the vendors being on the field, so that's something we need to discuss. Deposit and repairs, it's another discussion. Who does the repairs, who reviews the field afterwards? Sort of a suggestion that we have a site walk through like 3 weeks before an event to make sure that any you know, the applicant understands exactly what their site plan says and what they're supposed to be doing. And then a walkthrough after the event with someone to be careful about what the damage is or if there is any, and who's gonna do the repairs. We do have a new site map, which was revised recently and given to the Wine and Food Festival people, making the baseball infield off limits for vehicles and tent posts. John had a look at it, and probably it may need to be bigger. It's, you know, it has the measurements, Bruce went and measured everything out, so if vendors know exactly, applicants know exactly what the space is and what they can use. So we might wanna go over that one more time, and if we're gonna have no parking, if we are gonna have parking, where's it gonna be and how we're gonna deal with that. So this is, last weekend's event was our second event, other than the Oktoberfest that had gone on for years. So it's, every time we have one, we kind of, something comes up that we realize we have to tweak the application. And this has to be clear, it has to be written out, it has to be concise, everybody has to understand what the expectations are. So, I guess that's our report. We do have an application, House of the Hudson for October 26th and possibly the 27th. It's coming to you, I think you're gonna talk about it tonight. But if it is approved, there's some things we have to tweak prior to that event, to make it more successful, to make people happier, you know, to make everyone understand clearly what the expectations are, and communicate with everybody so there's no. We have two other small events, the Pavilion on the 24th of this month and the Convo Park on the 7th of September.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, so John's application is in the package. What additional information is needed for this application to be approved?
Well, I talked to Ruthann before we came in, and we wanted to discuss that when we started discussing it,
Okay.
Yeah.
just because it's gonna be a longer discussion than
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, I just wanna kind of bring it out now, and I know before, if we do that, you know, this has something happens tonight, probably some more stuff will have to happen afterwards. So. Anyway, that's my report.
Thank you.
Other commission's reports on.
What's that?
It's the commission's report. I just wrote it up.
Planning board, doesn't look like we have anything. Zoning board, new business none. Old business, ZBA granted front and side yard setback and building coverage variance for 13 Stone Street to convert a one-car garage into a two-car garage and add a porch. Current business, none. Town of Phillipstown.
Good evening, Judy Farrell on board. Just wanted to report, I know Marie's gonna ask me if we have any candidates, and we do have a very strong candidate for the assistant building inspector position. So we're hoping to set up interviews. We've got a few resumes in, and look forward to interviewing this candidate. We are also, as you may have heard, in the midst of considering bids for the renovation of Town Hall, and the Town Hall will be moving to the old VFW Hall while the renovations are done this fall. And we got 6 bids in, so we're hopeful that that will work out. And we will be on schedule with that renovation. The town board is also concerned, as you may have heard from some of our last meetings and workshops, about the CBD candy, which, while it's legal for people 18 and over to purchase it, that it might get into the hands of children. And so we're looking at possibly some way of ensuring that children do not get their hands on the gummies that are available in local candy stores and other stores. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, just the inspector, how many hours, or have you worked anything like that out, or how will he be
It
used?
would be a part-time position and on an hourly basis.
But do you know, is there a certain amount of hours a week, or?
It would be probably less than 20 hours a week, we estimate, based on the budget that we have for that position. It depends on, the salary that's negotiated, the rate, the hourly rate.
And on your move to the VFW, you're also gonna be using American Legions too, or not, for court?
We are gonna use the court is gonna use the American Legion Hall, and obviously the building department is gonna be okay where it is, but the town court will use the American Legion Hall. It's just the town hall operations and business staff will be in the town clerk will be in the old VFW. And our meetings, our town board meetings will be in the old VFW hall.
So, to that, I was talking to Richard just kind of casually on the parking issues down there.
Yes.
So, you know, one thing is, you know, I think maybe we should get together on that with the boards, or, you know, a couple people from each and discuss, how to work that out, because, you know, we do own the property up to the fence. I mean, maybe that's something that the town board can pave or whatever. We're gonna need to make some definition to parking down there, which there isn't right now. And during other events, people, that's Larry will tell you, with every event, you know, will just do crazy things, or they don't wanna go too close to the bushes, so they're actually sticking out in the road, up towards the end, towards Constitution Drive. So we need to have some definition, and we need to go over where parking's gonna be and how that's gonna work.
Sure, maybe we can, yes, as you suggest, to get a group together. And sit
So if
down.
you want to talk to Richard about
Yes.
that, and I think we should.
Yeah, I had sent a complaint came in about parking down there. People tend to park perpendicular to the fence. And depending upon the vegetation and the length of the car, they're protruding into the roadway. The safest way to park there would be parallel to the fence, but that severely limits the number of cars that can park there. And there is actually a no parking area, which is the section that's closest to Kemble Avenue. I know that a number of people have been ticketed for parking in there. So.
I think two things. One is that the street is extremely wide there most of the way. I think that most of the problems are at the top. If you had that paved, it was by the fence, there's no way that perpendicularly, if you pulled in there, you're gonna be hanging out into the road, because it's wide, almost all the way towards it, then it narrows, I think, as the Constitution Drive.
Well, in the evening when it's dark, it's not exactly, the cars are not exactly obvious. It's a situation that I think needs a little further investigation.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to I think it needs to be paved there, and there shouldn't be any, if there's no bushes.
Where the
there.
grass is?
Yeah.
When we get together and discuss all of that and change, there's a few things with that area. The signs say winter parking, pretty much. Are they allowed to park there just or winter parking? There's 2 or 3 cars that have been down there for 3-4 months. People just, I'm gonna leave my car here, and when I need it, I need it. So you know, the way the sign's written, I can't have my guys enforce that, because it's just so vague. So if we're gonna go and pave some of it and use that for court and other things, we need to, you know, definitely tighten up the signs, when you can park, when not, winter parking, this side of the sign, and that will alleviate anybody, you know, squeezing out on the road. I already told my officers, if anybody's, all 4 wheels are on the road, that they need to be towed, taken and towed. If they're, you know, so within reason, you know, be better judgment as you're going by. That's what's been, I did get the complaint, and I think I responded to you in an email on that. So something my guys are definitely patrolling and looking at. That, again, as we go forward, we're gonna do any type of paving or whatever, tighten the signs up, figure out what we're gonna have it, and hours and stuff, and seasonal, you know, winter, not winter. If you're gonna park down there off winter hours, maybe again, 4-hour parking or 5, we'll have to figure something out.
I agree.
Just another thing to bring up, I believe, we as a courtesy to the county have been plowing around the American Legion Hall because the seniors were there. I believe that agreement sort of has faded when the seniors moved out, so we shouldn't be plowing there anymore, that's private property. Unless we have some kind of agreement, our guys are not responsible for plowing private property, so I don't know what's gonna happen when the court goes. Something else that needs to be discussed as time goes on.
The American Legion Hall, with the veterans and.
Well,
American
with
Legion.
the veterans, you know, either with the veterans because it's their property, or the veterans may have an agreement with the town saying you're responsible to plow it, or I don't know how that's gonna work. Just a heads up that it's not
Thank
gonna
you.
automatically be plowed, as far as I know, because that was being done because the seniors were there.
Because the seniors.
So that may be something that you people will wanna talk to the veterans about it.
Sure. Thank you. I have a question, if you don't have any more questions.
Not just like if we can set up a meeting. if you want
Yes,
to talk to
I will
Richard
do
about
that.
Okay.
The crosswalks, I like the pedestrian crossing signs, that bright green sign. Are there any plans to put any by the pizza parlor or up by the firehouse where there are crosswalks? Because I notice sometimes the cars don't always stop. and-
They don't always stop. You could put a red light and a policeman out there. Honestly, I sit down there and watch, and they walk from La Bouchon across. They don't go to the crosswalk. So we don't have any plans to answer your question.
Okay. Just by the pizza parlor, a lot of kids crossing, during, especially when school's in session, from the pizza parlor.
Maybe we can add it to our list of signs.
Okay.
Well, that would require, the crosswalks tend to require ADA ramps, and and those are expensive. It would mean changing the curbs.
Oh, because they're already,
Yeah, with the
the
crosswalk
crosswalk's
already is.
painted there already. It's just not the sign that says
Where
pedestrian
the
crossing.
crosswalk is already.
We just don't have the
Oh,
signs
yeah.
where the crosswalks
Oh, that's all you're looking
are. Just the signs.
There
There's
is no,
signs out here.
there is no crosswalk by the pizza bar. It's
No, it's by the
it's
fire.
front of Garden Cafe. The
Right,
crosswalk
whatever.
is in front of,
Yeah.
Yeah, opposite.
Semantics.
And then across the other way.
In the area of the pizza.
With the
Right,
crosswalk.
thank you.
Thank you. Historic District Review. Let's see, current projects. In July, we reviewed applications for 13 Stone Street, 11 High Street, 244 Main Street, 204 Main Street, and 30 Wall Street. We also had a workshop with the Butterfield team regarding signage for the New York Presbyterian Hudson Valley Hospital Building 2 and elsewhere around the development. They postponed our workshop review of design changes on buildings 4, 5, and 6 until August. For our August monthly meeting on August 14th, we have received requests for review of 13 Stone Street. The addition was not ready to be reviewed at the July meeting. 15 Main Street, 124 Main, 33 Market Street, in addition to further discussion excuse me, of signage at Butterfield Building 2 and design changes buildings 4, 5, and 6. Board work projects, we met once in July to further edit our draft design guidelines. Currently, we have no editing sessions scheduled for August due to individual members' travel schedules, but we will conduct additional sessions in September. Fire company, Steve, do we have anything? I don't think we do. Steve not here. Let's see, Jen Zwarg, from the TBA, or TAB? Yeah, TAB. Due to multiple vacation schedules, we do not have a regular meeting report this month. Code update.
The CUC met once in July. The month of July was spent in continued review of all chapters in the village code for consistency and clarity. Consistency and clarity are one of the 2 topics for Phase 5. The CUC had requested feedback from members of the village board on these recommended changes. This feedback is expected to continue through the month of August. The CUC has also received feedback from the chairs of the planning board and the ZBA. In August, the CUC will continue to review the full set of recommended changes to the village code, including the feedback from the village board and the chairs of the 2 boards. At that time, the CUC will develop a schedule for the remaining activities for 2019. The July conference call with NYSERDA was conducted. No issues were raised by NYSERDA.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work on that. Reviews on top of reviews. Report water, wastewater, our inaugural.
Go ahead.
So we'll start off with the wastewater. Business as usual, all bacteriological and laboratory analysis came back good. We did do the training to start up on the portable generator, tested it down at Kemble and Market Streets. Checked out okay. We have done the sludge dewatering pilot study. P&D reached out to me today. I'll be following up with them tomorrow on how they want to present that. That's pretty much it for the wastewater. Water, same thing. Bacteriological lab analysis came back good for the month of July. We did have the MBA on Fishkill Road on Thursday, July 18th, where a motor vehicle ended up in the cofferdam partially, it was removed. We ceased water production for that night as per the health department. We took following samples the next day, POCs, which all came back in good standing, so we were able to resume water production the following day. The Catskill DEP project, nothing really has been done with that. It was proposed for a workshop, and I'll be following up with them on that and try to get that scheduled. Greg Phillips did retire on the 26th, and here I am. And I'll be trying to do my best to continue on his footsteps. Secondary operations and licensing. Until the operators that are currently on payroll are licensed, and Joe Myers was opted out of his role at the end of this month. So I do have a qualified candidate. I'm just waiting for his certifications to present it to you guys and then move forward with that. That's about all I got.
When did they, so is the cleanup on the Fishkill Road and the Copper Dam, is that complete, or?
As
or
pretty
where are
much
we
as
at with
everybody
that?
is concerned, until they deem who's gonna be responsible for paying for the cleanup, the booms have to stay in place.
And the booms or whatever, they're in there, when does all that get removed?
As soon as everything behind the scenes with prosecution and cleanup. yeah.
And is that, are we responsible, who takes care of that?
I believe it's the owner of the vehicle, from what I was told when I was on site that night, but I have not heard anything since then.
But literally, I know the person who was in the accident's not gonna physically clean it up, who's in charge of that?
Paul has, Putnam and Dutchess County provided all the booms and everything else are in place, so they were asking as well, so they can get reimbursement for the supplies that were used, but I'm not sure exactly what it was. I was waiting for the DEC and DEP to get back to us, but haven't heard anything yet.
We have to put in a claim with her insurance company or whatever, is that, I would assume that's our responsibility.
I would think so, yeah.
So Jeff needs to know about that.
Okay.
But I don't think, there's actually no, well, there's the damages, I don't know what damages occurred, but the physical damage to that area that's.
Just the
village,
guardrail.
And that's, county,
Right, and I believe it's on site, and I think you were saying that it might get done tomorrow, so.
And do you want to, or I don't know who should, but maybe since this happened and we've maybe learned from that, we should put some type of ballards or something up there. Would you like to?
Yeah, no.
Look into that a little?
Definitely can.
And make sure, I'm not sure where you need access or not, so we should definitely put something up there.
Yeah, no, it could definitely be a good precautionary measure.
So if you want to look into that a bit and let us know what that
Yep.
costs or what we should do there, I think we should definitely do that.
Can do.
It could have been really bad.
Oh, yeah, no.
Some gas tank was ripped open and stuff.
Yeah, it was minor fluid leakage, but like I said, everything was pretty much contained with the boom, so, and the Department of Health was satisfied with everything that took place after the analysis, following up with anything that could have potentially leaked out. Everything came back in good standing, so.
The meeting, when do you wanna, I'll talk to Jeff or see if he can organize it, the one for the connection with everyone, or? how do you wanna
Well,
do that?
Chris, one of the trustees from Nelsonville, actually reached out to me earlier this morning. She said that she was gonna stop by on Friday at 9:30, just to both of us catch up. I guess she's new, I'm new, so we'll start from there, and then, yeah, I can set it up with Jeff, and then we can move forward with that.
Okay. How are things going?
Lovely.
Can't
complain.
All right, thank you. Highway, or no, building department, sorry, skipped one. Let's see, building department, activities, new building permits, 6, building permits issued 3, dumpster permits issued 2, COs issued 4, record searches 7, complaints received 1, referrals generated HDRB 1, and planning 1, application and fee permit collected $525, record search fees collected $525, other fees $60, for a total of $1,100 for the month of July. Now highway.
Evening, folks. For the month of July, garbage was 57.19 tons. Recycling was 23.46 tons. For the month, we finished about 95% of the street painting as far as stops, yellow X's around the village. We started trimming limbs throughout the village. We painted all the doors and window frames on the subway entrances and at the visitor center. We repaired 12-foot section of curb on Pine Street and repaired a retaining wall on Academy Street in the Brook area there. We poured a 50-foot curb on Oak Street and poured concrete pads at the boat club and at the highway garage. We acquired a shipping container from the Building Bridges, Building Boats, which we will be using for storing our Bobcat attachments and other stuff. Phillips Sound Tree Service came in to do emergency removal of 2 trees on Lower Parsonage Street. We installed new brakes, rotors, along with transmission lines on the 2011 Ford F-350 with an oil change. We installed new ignition wires, a starter, battery, and battery cables on the compressor. We removed suspension shackle U-boats from the old 1987 rack body truck that's down at the garage, and we mounted them on the 97 Ford F-350. And the 2016 Ford F-350 was brought to Fishkill Tire for 2 new front tires and a front end alignment.
I talked to you about the concrete pad at the boat club. I don't know when or how that started, but I don't know, how are we involved in that?
We're having a really difficult time trying to get the dumpster to line up with the truck when it's stuck in the mud.
I'm just not sure why we are taking, since they're using that, why we're even responsible for that dumpster.
That would be my responsibility. I just assumed where we do stuff for the firehouse, and that's a village entity, same as the boat club. I wasn't under the understanding that they rent it. So that was my decision to pour that down there.
Right. But you've been picking up, everybody's been picking up their dumpster forever, or that's not something you just started?
No. For the 16 years I've been here, we've been picking up their dumpster.
Okay. I need to discuss that with the boat club.
Okay.
Unlike the fire company, it's essential service.
Okay.
It's like, I'm not getting on you. I was surprised when I heard.
No, they didn't tell me I had to pour it or anything. I took it upon myself. That was my decision.
Good. Okay, well, I could see doing that. It's just I don't think we're responsible for that.
Okay.
Dump, but I'll look into that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, Justice Court fines, 4,107, parking tickets, 3,785, civil fees, 320, mandatory state surcharges, 2,378, for a total of $10,590. Anything from the board? No? Okay, we'll move right along then. Okay, next is the application for the house on the Hudson, which is October 26th and 27th. So we'll get into that, which is kind of dominoing into the past event and problems that we had there, or things that need to be addressed, like Ruth Ann brought up. Mainly parking, but I think there's a number of other things also. Well, parking's the main thing. Maps, you have to depicting exactly where stuff goes, and what can go where you can park in the pavilion area and where you can't, all the things that Ruth Ann brought up. So those are things we have to straighten out. The pavilion, one thing I think that has to be required is the rental of the highway department parking. I think that's just a requirement if we're gonna rent the field. If we're gonna have a bigger event and we don't do that, I think there was at least 35 cars back there that I counted. So if those 35 cars aren't back there, they're somewhere else. And that should be vendors, and we have to work something out. So that's definitely gonna be part of, if we move the application forward, or anything for events that size, that has to be done. I think addressing the signage on the streets on Fair Street needs to be addressed, and we have to get together with both the rec department and the board and Larry and talk about how we do that. So Fair Street isn't just park wherever you want, and then throughout the village. So I know you need to get advance notice out there, and I don't have I don't think anyone has a problem. I'll also speak for myself. I don't have a problem with the festival going on, but we definitely have to address these problems before, and we have to have some. We're not going public yet, but you'll have plenty of time to speak. Anyone want to comment on the board about the festival and how it relates to the upcoming festival?
I didn't pay much attention this weekend to the festival. Parking is an issue, and maybe that needs to be advertised as you're going along, the parking is limited, come in on public transportation, park down at the river and walk, not at the railroad and walk. Because, you know, that is an issue, and then your people are gonna come to your event very angry, because they're gonna have tickets, so they're gonna leave very angry with tickets. And the other thing is, I think we talked about, cars driving across Mayor's Park, there's not gonna be any cars, you know, driving all over the place there. One of the questions I had on your application, John, is your estimated attendance is from 400 to 2,000. Larry needs to know how many police he has to ask for. So from 400 to 2,000 doesn't help him at all. You know, he needs to know how many police he needs to put on for that day. When can you get him a better number, or when do you need a better number, Larry, so you know how many police?
I definitely need to know a month in advance. I put the schedule out a month in advance. I mean, I know it's kind of a stretch, but as many as you think, or as many as you pre-sell, so we can kind of, you know, go back and forth with, okay, I can definitely put you guys on it, and because the whole thing is availability. Got my guys that work other jobs, and I can't turn and say, well, I need 4 of you, and then whoever rents it out, whether it be John or somebody else, say, oh, you know what, we only sold 500 so the week before, we're not gonna have that many. I can't tell the officers that, okay, no, I just took your other work away from you, and now I'm taking this day off you also. So I would say at least a month in advance, where I'm putting on 2 or 4. That would be, I mean, 2,000 people, even 4 guys would be stretching it. The sheriff is kind enough when I reach out to him, if I know it's gonna be a big event, he'll have the sector that's over his own too. Or if I ask, he'll put, hey, usually is nice enough, if there's nothing else going on in the county, he'll give me an extra guy to at least go up and down, like the Village, Fair Street, and be assigned to like that area.
Do you have any idea how many people were at the festival this weekend?
No, I'd gone by there twice. I told my guys to call me if there was any issues with overcrowding or anything like that, and I would have activated myself and I would have went down as an extra officer. But they did not call me. They said, when I did speak to them, they said everything was pretty much in hand, everything was going well. Mostly people just coming and going, which is more foot traffic and the parking issue, a couple of the parking issues.
Yeah, a couple of things with well, I think the main thing down there with parking and with everything is the damaging the fields if it's wet out and if it's dry out. So I'm not sure how if it rains for 3 or 4 days before, you're in October, so it's a good chance there's gonna be rain. And what do we do then? I mean, you can't cancel your festival, obviously, so how do we not have all these vendors going on, like the last event, there was like 35 vendors or more. They had a number of them on the outside and then all the ones in the tent. Each one drove their car and had to back up to the big tent or to wherever they were going. So they were all over the field back and forth, and they all had to go out when the festival started and back in. And if it's wet or slick, that's a problem. And I don't know how we address that, but.
We were thinking of actually hand carts and having the cars at the fence, you know, and then they're gonna have to, and we'll have multiple hand carts where then they can bring their stuff over, drop it off, and come back to the field. So we're willing to work on, you know, making sure that the cars, most of them aren't going onto the field. And I understand the rain situation. If it rains 2 or 3 days before,
Or during the day, you still have a tent, you're having a fair, and then what do we do? And then, so like, how do we, you know, that's all good that you say that, you know, you might have those there or whatever, but we need to have something more solid than that, so that, I think that message has to get out to your folks that are gonna be the vendors there, because I don't think they're gonna wanna pull up and say, oh, I'm gonna put it in a cart and not know about that.
right, we would inform them that we would have to inform them of that.
We would need,
I think that's something to go to the meeting with the applicant the week before and review them one more time, the expectations, so that there is no miscommunication. I think that should be part of the schedule and the plan, because you're right closer to the event, we'll know better what the condition of the field is. So, that makes sense. I think.
I've participated in a number of events where, I mean, as a vendor, we couldn't park anywhere near the event. But the organizers did have these carts, you know,
Right.
like, not a hand truck really, but a flat hand truck.
Right.
Where we could load lots and lots of stuff on there and then just wheel it over and
That was our plan. We've
Yeah.
got a kind of a 4 foot long by 3 foot wide
Yeah.
cart that you can, and you have to have multiple ones, you can't just
Yes.
have one. We'd have to
That's-
have 6, 8, 10 of those.
And then
in order
somebody
to
who,
accommodate that.
you know, some dedicated staff to help with that, so. But that's really helpful, it's actually easier than driving right up to where you're set up, so.
The other problem was, I think, was the lack of, in this one, of coordination. They had like one person checking people in and they have no one directing traffic. And so they have 3 or 4 cars lined up and 2 are out out on Fair Street as only one person. So, you know, we need to have check-in or whatever's going on there. There has to be more than one person. We have to have it, you know, better organized than that. And I'm not saying.
We had 2 checking IDs and 8 people checking
Right,
tickets and
yeah.
stuff.
I know
So
yours was,
we had no people
run way
parked,
better.
we had nobody parked and nobody put any no parking signs on the other side of the street. But there was almost nobody who parked on the Route 9 side of Fair Street during our festival. And we did, at our website, whether it be now or 6 months ago, it always says very limited parking. Park at the train station, stroll through Cold Spring and come to the festival. You know, so we're big proponents on using that beautiful train line that's here and stuff. So even for people coming from the north or the south, that's what we try to inform our customers. If you're coming from the south, park in Garrison, take the train, a short little ride, $1 ride and stuff. And that's our focus in trying to minimize the amount of parking and issues that you can have. I did check with the high school too, I believe, and I have to go back to the high school. I believe they were gonna allow us to park up there. So they have some paperwork. I'm gonna explore that again, because that might be then a great spot to have the vendors. And then if we can somewhat coordinate that trolley that Putnam County has over in Carmel, that's a separate trolley, not the green one in town here, but they did have a trolley that they allowed us to use for the Oktoberfest. So maybe if we could talk with Vinny over that way and coordinate it, so you could have your vendors really actually park up on Route 9 where the ball fields are, or maybe up at the high school, and then just have a shuttle bus to go back and forth. So that would be some thoughts, and I had the application for the high school. I'll just go back up that way and find out a little bit more about that.
John, approximately how many people
We had somewhere between 800 and 1,000 people.
for the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people from Brooklyn, a lot of people from Manhattan, a lot of people from Queens. So a very large portion.
In looking at your map,
Yeah.
I noticed that you have a different pedestrian flow
Yeah,
for the event than Oktoberfest, for example, which seems very practical coming in through the pavilion and then exit only at the southern gate.
right.
Very frequently, cars are parked, or trucks are parked to the east of the pavilion. Are you planning, and if I go back to Oktoberfest, that was a lot of your supplies,
Right.
cooks and whatnot.
Right.
Are you going to have anybody parked in there?
We would like to have vendors, and that's the thing, you know, we talked to Ruth Ann, I think it's a dry, as long as it's dry, it's a very practical spot for the vendors, not guests, anybody attending, but the vendors or some of the workers. You have volunteers. We had 12 volunteers. They had to go park their cars somewhere. You know, so if you can control that, have somebody at the gate right there, and it hasn't rained in the past 3 or 4 days, and it's dry. I would never have anybody park beyond the pavilion,
Correct.
but you know, there's a nice row. You can have 20 cars picked and parked in there. Maybe we highlight how many you can have in
Yeah,
there.
I would think that we would want to prohibit any parking to the west of the
Oh,
pavilion.
yeah, I would agree.
That's something in the site plan has to be clear about, where people can, as I said earlier, where people can park and where they can't park on a regular, for any event. So, and how many people, I believe with the dark side application, for applicants, you have so many, only so many cars can pull into dark side, for an event. I think we need to do the same thing, and, because I think that there are quite a few cars parked in the pavilion, for the Hops Fest. No one parked there for the wine festival because they use that area. So I think we have to agree as a group, the trustees and the Recreation Commission, how many people should be able to be parked there, if there's gonna be parking there.
Couple quick points. Saturday, just we kind of do enforcement in the MTA lot, but we don't really do, you know, illegal parking. From what I heard from my guys, the MTA lot was a mess. They were parking wherever, they were parking, you know, where it says do not park, on stripe lines, just to give a hint that, you know, although it is free, John, and I'd love to have them park there, just because, you know, it gets crazy over there too, and that will cause some other incidents with just parking wherever they want and everything like that. That was one incident my guys had brought up on Saturday. Another thing that needs to be brought up in the site plan, which I feel, is there is no specific parking for handicap. So now if you really wanted anybody to park anywhere near the pavilion, which I know we're trying to get away from because it's always wet there, if it rains a week in advance, it's usually wet, would you have that just for handicap? I know we did something with the Oktoberfest like that. In the two events we had, I do not believe there was any access to handicap people, and you try to get them as close to the front door as possible, which is not marked anywhere down there for any parking. We can put up a make up a temporary handicap sign or.
There's one on Stone Street you
I'm
can use.
gonna take that. Inside joke. With that going on with that, and another last thing I'm gonna mention is in October, we have the boats coming in. So, I mean, you're talking about massive amount of people, if it's a nice day. It's also something you, John, you may, you throw out your media and say, listen, you wanna come up from the city, take the boat, come up on the boat.
Yeah.
But I mean, but if we're gonna have that and the boats coming in on both days, it's gonna really be a massive amount of people. Just a thought, just throwing
We
it out
have the
there.
boats scheduled. When do we get the boats scheduled?
What time's the boat leave?
The boat will leave
3:30 to 4:00,
4 o'clock.
depending upon how many boats come up.
Can I say something? That weekend for the boats is the busiest weekend. So they're gonna be probably, the boat hold 800 people, 800, 900 people.
If you like to limit, the new boats are certified for 600 people.
Okay.
They like to limit the tickets to 450 to 500 people per boat.
Right.
So if they sell enough tickets, they'll bring up a second boat, either of the same size or slightly smaller. Smaller boats go to 350.
So it could be anywhere from 1,000 people at the Hops Fest to another 800
Could
of the
be.
boats. So
Could be.
that's the equivalent of the population of the village.
Yes, it is.
So the infrastructure here, I don't think it can handle that. And I sit on my front porch over here, watching the door, checking IDs and all that, and I see just the craziest stuff going on with people's U-turns, parking illegally, doing all sorts, going the wrong way on Stone Street. I don't think having two things like that going on in this village on the same day or the same weekend, it's just crazy. It's too much. We can't handle it. Now we're talking about like parking down by the pavilion, not parking by the pavilion, parking up at the high school, parking here, using the trolley. I understand trying to figure out how to accommodate all the people, but I don't think we can. I don't really think we can. So the reason I asked that is the Hops Festival, John, is that like the one last time, or is it more of an Oktoberfest?
It's from 12 to 5, the festival.
Is it more like an Oktoberfest, or is it more like a tasting
It's
fest?
a tasting, sampling.
Okay.
And it's from 12 to
Because
5.
Last year during the Oktoberfest or afterwards on Sunday, the Oktoberfest is a lot different than the Hops Fest. Oktoberfest, they're serving these big things of beer, and people are gulping it down, gulping it down. I had to close on Sunday night at 6 o'clock because all the people coming back, going to the train, coming back from the House Fest or from the Oktoberfest already had way too much to drink. And I couldn't keep them at bay. I spoke to Larry about this afterwards. It's just too much. And so now you got 1,000, I'm not saying the House Fest will be like this. The one this summer, they were more controlled because they're sipping beer, they're trying different things, plus there was food available. So they're kind of going in moderation. But that's just too much for us, I think. And I'm not saying don't do it. I mean, obviously I don't have that call, but I just don't think it's tough. It's really hard. It's hard on the merchants, hard on the village residents.
I
It's
mean,
hard
I
on
think
the
you
police
could
force.
use that same argument for the Cold Spring. I mean, this is like multiplying it, but like, can we really, like on any given nice day, really, can we really handle that? Are people not driving crazy? Are people not walking out in the streets? Are they not doing U-turns?
Oh, no.
They're all doing all of that stuff.
No, I
And it's
understand
jammed
that.
and you can't even walk down here either.
No, I understand that, but it's a little bit, it's not the frequency it might be. And there's not, When the streets are very busy, there's probably 1,000 people. We had the boat, and now we got 1,800 people.
Right.
All right? Now we had another 1,000, now we got 2,800 people. Not counting the hikers. The hikers aren't even in this equation yet. And the hikers come off, at that time of year, they're coming off the mountain at 4 o'clock. Listen, I want John to be able to do his thing, and I want all of us to be able to do our thing, but I just think you really got, not you, I'm just saying, we all have to really think this through. Because you got close to 3,000 people possibly, not counting the residents.
Do we know what weekends the boats are coming?
Yes, we do.
They'll be there that weekend.
Yes, they'll definitely be there.
Well, it's all month, it's all month. It's all of October, so it's every weekend in October. And then the first weekend in November, which is sort of like the prime time. So, but we're gonna remember that when we do a sampling at Craft Beer Festival, and that's what it is, it's 5 hours, they're down there. We've got a lot of entertainment, and I know a lot of people did come from our festival and go up to town. But it's not like you have hundreds or half of the people at our festival in town. They're gonna come afterwards, which might be nice too, because now the C Streak is left at 4 o'clock, and now at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, people are leaving from our festival and might want to come up to the restaurants in town and have dinner or something, which I know they did last time and stuff as well. Yeah, so,
Would you consider, I mean, the Oktoberfest is usually in September.
right, that's too soon, too soon. Too soon to do anything in September.
Too soon for,
There's the window of time of getting the word out.
so if you're going to do this again next year, let's try not to clash with the votes.
We would do that. We would like to try to accommodate so that we bring additional people into the village to promote our community when it's not so busy, you know. And, you know, I've always started doing something in the February because we could use some business then.
Yeah, my comment's not limited to this application, but just in general, for village property, has the fire department looked at, or the police looked at occupancy limits and posted occupancy limits, whether it's of personnel and or parking at Mayor's Park or the pavilion? Is there a maximum, I mean, this room here has got 43.
You said it.
So we're good.
You said it.
Right.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, but the police chief did set the maximum that can be at Mayor's Park.
I did believe, I originally said, I don't know what the exact law is, to be honest with you, but I said it cannot be nowhere more than has to be kept under 2,000. I actually want to keep it at 1,500, realistically. But again, it's not officially, that's not my call, that's just my professional opinion call with the police force that I have and the area that they're having the fest in. That would fall more under either the building department, would know the state laws on that, or even a state representative. I'm not positive on that.
So I'm suggesting a formal, inquiry and a formal posting of village property for those kinds of limits for obvious reasons.
And there are also state laws that if you have a certain amount of people, you need to have what they call a fire officer. And I'm not talking about somebody from the fire department, somebody who's a fire official for evacuations and stuff like that. If something happens, there's only 2 ways out, which is the front gate or the side gate through the pavilion. Those are other things that if you wanted to research and look at, depending on the amount of people that you'd have to call. Like almost when if you worked in a building in Manhattan, you had a fire warden on your floor to direct you where you need to go, something to that effect. Depending on as many people that you have. That's why I have to know how many, to know how many officers I need to put on, just to alleviate some of those problems.
And the last festival down, they had two or three security people they hired. Do you have anyone, or how did, we just have the police?
Yeah, we had police officers right at the front gate.
No, it's talking about for the wine fest, I think.
Oh, I
The
don't
wine
know.
festival, they had 3 of their own dressed security guards.
Yeah, I like having 2 police officers right at the front gate.
Yeah, they were doing bag checks, I believe, and stuff like that. Right? During why they wore black shirts and security on them, so they were well.
Yeah, they were doing checks.
Yep. So that
They were
was,
scanning
I was
people.
happy to see that. Yeah.
Same thing with an ambulance. We had hired the ambulance and 2 EMTs for the whole day. To have them
In an
right by the tent. you
Yeah, in
know?
an application, I would say going forward, if we're gonna do a basic application for anybody, depending on the people they need to supply the ambulance corps. Because I know at the last minute, the representative for the Wine Fest called me, and I reached out to Nick Valcone from PVAC, and he scrambled, but he wound up getting, I think, 2 ambulances, definitely 1 ambulance on standby there, due to the heat and stuff like that, and the possibility of drinking alcohol and dehydration.
So we do a lot of work on the application.
Anything else on that?
Just one other thing, John, every time you have an event, we'll talk to you about signage and banners and stuff like that, and signage and banners always show up. I personally took a sign off of, down by the bandstand for your last event that was like bungee corded around the tree. It's like, you can't do that, you know. We told you a banner, like, I don't know how this event's gonna be, but I know a banner on the Park fence like a week before, but not like bungee cord around the trees and not up and down Main Street, stuff like that. Like, you know, there's a time for everything, so like, you just can't put wooden signs, you know, hanging out from everything.
Where are you with the festival right now, John?
We've inquired with a lot of breweries. We've actually visited with 40 breweries upstate New York, in Troy, Rensselaer, Glen Falls, Schenectady area. So we've got right now about 20 breweries that have signed up, several food trucks, and some music, and some vendors. So, you know, that we haven't done any publicizing of tickets on sale until you give us the blessing, and then we can at least let our previous customers know that tickets will go on sale. The goal is to try to sell tickets in advance so we have some numbers we can give to the police department. Oh, we've decided to go just one day also. So we're just gonna do Saturday.
Oh, just one day?
Yeah, we decided after talking to some brewers and then feeling that 2 days is a little too much time to be away from the family, because we do have the owners and the brewmasters come pour. We don't have volunteers who pour, which at some festivals, that's what they do. So we're just gonna go with the Saturday, the 26th, from like that 12 to 6 o'clock time frame.
What is it? Noon to 6?
October 26th, noon to 6, roughly.
Are you still going to do an early entry?
That would be at noon time.
Okay.
Early entry would be at noon, and then the later one at 1:30.
Noon to 6, not noon to 5.
Well, it'll be noon to 5.
Noon to 5.
Noon to 5.
So Larry and Ruth Ann, can you make a workshop next Wednesday? Or if not, any other day, whatever day works, we can meet, and Marie just had, you know, maybe had an idea of maybe limiting the number of boats come in, or one boat, or, you know, so, and the time, it was the earlier boat, maybe that works. So I think there's some things that can be thought out, and there's like the things in the application, I think we need to tighten so that they're in there for this application.
The 21st?
What's that?
The 21st?
Is that whatever next Wednesday is? Yeah, I guess.
Next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday, yeah, yeah, not tomorrow.
What time are we looking at?
What time works for you?
I'm free earlier.
Larry?
Yeah, I'll make it work, whatever time you need. I should be fine on Wednesday.
7 o'clock or later. What's that?
I've code updated 7.
It's 7.
We can both do it early if you want
Do
to.
it another day, or you can do it on that day, you want to overload yourself?
We can do it at 5 if you want.
Can you make 5? Can you make 5?
Sure.
Not to throw another wrinkle into this, but isn't the 26th also the Halloween parade?
Yes.
It is.
The
Yes.
26th is what?
The Halloween parade?
They said that when we
Saturday, the 26th, the Saturday before Halloween?
It is.
Typically the last Saturday, yes.
Larry said that's gonna be a
That's
problem.
not a wrinkle, that's a monkey wrench.
That's- yeah.
About 400 pounds.
You told me at the last.
And
you told me.
Yes, we did.
Can we get
Yes.
very clear?
And this is not a problem. I don't see it as a problem.
I
But
just-
were you thinking of it like that?
It was exactly the way I was
Yeah,
thinking.
exactly.
I don't think Saturday's gonna work, we just can't,
Yeah, you can't have an event the day before.
because we have the police tied up on
Yeah.
with the parade.
Well, that and Main Street's closed when all the vendors are gonna be trying to leave.
They'll go, they can't get up Main Street because Fair Street is blocked off.
Right.
So they've gotta go up Northern Avenue, or they go out to 9D and take a right. So-
But that was the case, I'm
That was
agreeing,
the
but
case
that was the
before.
case
Yep.
this last festival on Sunday, you couldn't come down Fair Street either, you had
Yeah.
to go up Northern
Yeah.
Avenue. So
Yeah.
that's not I think the problem is where the police are gonna be and how many, or how
Yeah.
that's gonna work out.
And the fire.
Well, the boats will be
fire-
going by then.
Usually
They're out of here by 4
o'clock.
o'clock.
What's that?
It's usually at 4,
The Halloween parade?
5.
5 o'clock.
They start
Okay.
gathering around, what, 4:30 and.
4:30 or so.
And then they step
On
up at
St.
5.
Mary's
Thank you for.
Lawn.
I can put out a memo now to see how many guys I can get. The parade is usually, what, about 2 hours, kinda?
No,
Not
no,
even
the
now.
parade.
Well, I'm saying people mulling around and still hang out. The parade itself is quick. It's
Yes, it
within
is. They
half
go
an hour.
down to the dock.
But the amount of people that come in,
The gathering at
That's-
St. Mary's is probably at least a half hour before the parade, if not more.
right, I'm just about to get everybody
But
together, parade
they're not
done,
in the
and
road bed.
done.
At that time, they're off on the lawn or parked on the
Okay.
streets.
People start standing in front of my place half hour before the parade, then the parade starts way up the street, and it comes down, the parade lasts, what, 45 minutes?
Oh, no,
No, and then it takes a while for them to walk down the street, and have to collect their children, or collect their families, or wherever the heck it might be, and then grab them and bring them back up the street, while these guys are trying to get, people who are parked down on the dock and parked all over the place, trying to get them the heck out of town.
I think it would be just asking, I mean,
John, can you do Sunday, not Saturday?
No, Saturday, Sunday's the update for who's coming from a couple hours away. We could go till later, we could go till 6.
but I think you're gonna
No,
have to get a
it's just-
community coming into the village too, even if the boat has left. The boat has sailed, you know, but we still have all of these community members. I mean, it brings in a lot of people, you know, for parking and for.
Boat doesn't, there's no parking problems with the boat.
No, I'm talking about people from the community who come, you know, to march in the parade or bring their kids or just watch the parade.
If the boat
I'm standing right next to Doug
Right.
watching the parade, let me tell you, that's as far as I
If the
go.
boat leaves at 4, which it does, and the
Yeah.
parade's supposed to start at 4:30,
Yeah.
if you push the parade, I'm just,
The parade starts at 5 o'clock.
5. If you push the parade back a half hour, we could probably try to make it work. I'm just putting it out there. Because then John's will be almost done by then, 5 o'clock, right? Usually be leaving, the guys will be, whoever's gonna be closing up.
Yeah, well, my thoughts are, I'll go later. Maybe we go to 6 or 6:30.
And this way the parade's gone, and then you guys can get out, and then you guys can get out.
Right, then, you know.
It gets dark. I mean, it
Yeah,
gets
but
dark early.
it's, yeah, but, okay, it's not.
Also, make the parade late, what time does it get dark?
At that time, it's talking about September, you still have lights till about, I'd say about 7 o'clock, 6:30.
Yeah, it's
Google,
October.
just on October 26th.
Still laying out. Is that right?
Is that the only weekend that works for weekend before that doesn't work for?
There's another conflicting event,
Or the weekend after?
the weekend before, and you don't really want to go into
Oh, I'm sorry,
November.
wait, my bad. I thought they were 26th of the year.
Boat's still coming, November.
Yeah, no, it'll be dark at 6 o'clock.
It's gonna be dark again.
At 6 o'clock, yeah.
Sun sets at
When
5:50.
it gets dark at night, I hate that.
6 o'clock.
What's that, Doug?
Sets at 6 o'clock,
Dusk is at 6 o'clock?
yes, 5:59 to be exact.
Okay, so,
On October 26th.
Unless you push the parade and maybe a half hour earlier. I'm just
Maybe have the boat.
trying to make it work.
Angel's advocate.
Trying.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I feel the same way. That seems like it's mounting up.
so let's talk about it next Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday we'll talk about, we'll throw all this out there. Because, yeah.
Have the parade start earlier.
What's that?
I think have the parade start earlier, because it won't be dark when the kids are out there. You know what I mean? Have it start.
Regardless of just,
Because then his event still be going on by 5:30, they'll be all done, children. And then he unloads at 6.
And people leave, it takes a half hour to start getting your stuff together and get out
And it's the boat.
4:30 would be the ultimate for having, just my opinion again. 4:30 would be for the parade to start, the bulk's already done at 4.
That's right.
So I would think 4:30 would be the prime time. If we're gonna try to squeeze this all in one day, that would be the prime time to do it. The parade starts at 4:30, right on the dot, get that done. Just,
Would
again,
you like me to
just
reach
try it.
out to Eliza at the chamber?
No, I don't care. I was thinking of something else, Linda. It was nothing to do with it. There's something, I'll let you know later.
People are used to for years and years the parade starting at a certain time, so they're gonna have to be very,
No,
very
we can
clear.
do that.
Yeah, they're gonna have to be very, that's the chamber, whatever they do, they're gonna have to be early and pretty clear about it.
So let's talk Wednesday. See if we can accommodate, see what we can do.
So will we have a meeting
You
next
know, the
Wednesday?
chamber here that day
Seriously.
too, and,
I'll have Jess notice the meeting.
so 5 o'clock.
Meeting Wednesday at 5?
Yep.
Did I say I could do that?
That's.
What will you be resolving next Wednesday, with regards to, getting approval from you guys tonight versus next Wednesday? Like, what's the goal on next Wednesday?
Next
to
Wednesday, I
vote
think
on
we could
something?
line up and have a tighter schedule. We could discuss which times we could start stuff. Larry, I think, is the key piece to this, having police for that whole day and whether he's gonna have anyone and how that's gonna work. The schedule, if we're gonna move something to 4:30 or whatever, we're gonna have to talk to the chamber if we, so I think they have to be here, they're not here. Hey, we're trying to help you here, John. If you
Yeah,
want, we
I
can
know.
say, let's not meet Wednesday, and right now, I would say
No,
we're not
no.
gonna have your event.
No, I'm just,
So, I know it's not what you want to hear, but, with what happened last week, this past weekend, and, we ran into, and I tell you, you run way more, a tighter ship for sure.
You did a great job.
So, I
Thanks.
totally appreciated
Thanks.
that, but we just have to get that formalized a little, and I think we have to take into consideration, I forgot about all 3 things all at the same time, so we're gonna try to do that.
How long can you hold off, John, before you start advertising?
Oh, well, you gotta wait until you guys, give me the approval, right? So, you usually try to get at least 8 weeks to 10 weeks. Like, we're right at the cusp now, because, we were hoping to get it a couple weeks ago, but then we had the emergency on the roof and
Can
stuff,
we do next Monday?
What's that?
Can we do next
I
Monday?
can do anything.
How about next Monday instead of next Wednesday?
Can you do it this week at all? Like, today's only Tuesday, like, you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, can we do it like this week? Because then I can, really gung ho this weekend, and I can drive a lot more breweries than,
I can do it.
Tomorrow?
you like more?
That's Larry and
It's
them,
up to Larry
people with
and
wives.
Dan, yeah.
I'm in class all week, but I can get back here in the village probably by 5:30 latest.
So can we try 6 o'clock tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Okay. 6 p.m.
Gonna change it.
What about the chamber?
Lynn, were you gonna contact?
Yeah, I'll call Eliza tonight.
So Lynn will contact Eliza.
So now it's tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night at 6.
6
You-
o'clock.
You okay with that?
Do you want me to invite her to the meeting?
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, invite her to the meeting, yeah.
Is Justice Court tomorrow night? Traffic court?
Nope.
HDRB is scheduled here tomorrow.
They can go to the Little
Hey,
League.
just saying.
You're gonna be banished to the Little League. Thank you.
We need
Thank
you here, we
Michael.
need you there.
Okay.
Is there a boat gonna be at that meeting?
Thank you.
So you'll let the rest of your board know, Ruth Ann,
Bless you.
John, and Steve? I mean, they don't have to be here, but.
I will mention it to them.
Okay.
I will tell them.
Mention it, okay.
I will tell
And-
them. I will tell them right now.
Okay, thank you. Where are we at now? Okay,
Resolution.
move on to number 11, resolution 18. Look to my page here. There we go. Resolution 18, 2019, authorizing mayor to enter into contract for sale of real property at 15 Main Street. We went over this quite a bit. This is Laura Bergman's property down on Lower Main Street. I'm not gonna read this whole thing. It's So anyway, let's skip to the end. So I'll make a motion to approve or to pass a resolution of the Village Board of Trustees, the Village of Cold Spring, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for the sale of real property.
Second?
Any further discussion? Roll call, is this a roll call?
Yes.
Mayor Morandi,
Aye.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes?
Trustee Early,
Yes.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
and Trustee Milano is still absent.
You know, some people just never get it.
Resolution passes 4-0. Approval of renewal of general liability insurance.
I'm supposed to remember this?
What's that?
I'm supposed to remember this, I guess.
You are supposed to remember it, yeah.
I'm brain dead, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Okay, I know the cure
You can
was.
summarize it. or-
I could summarize it. The permit for last year that that is expiring was 87,309. The new permit, 91,120.70. A lot of this, the increase of this is basically due to some legal claims, falls and trips and so on and so forth that are against the village and are still pending. Some of these things go on for years and years and years, and so that has caused the increase. So
So that's $3,800, a little note here, due
Right.
to
Mhm.
legal
Yes.
expenses.
So this, after we've gone through everything, this was the new quote that came through.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of general liability insurance.
I'll second that.
Anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see, request for Phillipstown Trail Committee for their bike day. It's, I believe, exactly the same as last year. We did supply them with a crossing guard, so any discussion on that? So I'll make a motion to approve the request from the Phillipstown Trail Committee for bike day on September 28th.
Rain date is September 29th.
Okay. And rain date, September 29th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we have somebody, we have to coordinate, make sure we have a crossing guard? Jeff, that, or is that, do you line up the crossing guard, or?
Jeff did it.
Oh, Jeff did it, it's done?
Well, no, Jeff did it last year, I will ask him again this year.
Okay.
If I need to reach out, I'll reach out.
Okay, thank you. Correspondence, we won't get into this tonight, but it's a request from I believe a Springbrook resident, talking about the municipal parking lot and the possibilities of using that on weekdays and during the winters when there's generally not a lot of people in the parking lot. So we are taking that into consideration where he has numbers, and we'll have a workshop or talk further on that. And with those numbers, we can tell when exactly we can do that. So discussion on food trucks. Who wants to start that fun one? I didn't even know that was on here.
Well, you won't be a visitors.
What's that?
Well, you won't be a visitors.
No, I don't know. We're here for everything, I guess. All right, the food truck. First, to just set the table a little bit. What? You don't want to set the table? Okay, sorry.
Play on words.
I took a nap, so I have my brains with me. So to set this up, at our last meeting, food trucks came up. So a lot of the concerns, I think, were addressed kind of in how we went about it. So if we do allow a food truck, in which we were giving approval on this one, was that there would only be basically one place that a food truck could go. And that's, well, we weren't discussing dockside, we kept that out of the picture. So the only place that a food truck could go would be down at the far corner of Mayor's Park, and it would be limited, although we didn't talk about it, to one, because there's only one spot there that we felt someone could park. So far, do I have that right?
That's what I
So
remember.
so that's the only place. Second thing, just to clarify, the person that made the application did everything that she was supposed to do. She came in here, she talked to Jeff before going down there the day, and Jeff, misinformed her or was confused on whatever, and so she ended up going down there. He said there was no permits for it. So she did everything that was right. She didn't just go down there and park and then have police tell her she had to move or anything. She came here, said she didn't have to, she went down and parked. So that, I just wanted to clear that up. I didn't want anyone to think that she just, parked there and just thought she would do whatever she wanted. So then the discussion was whether to allow that or not. A lot of things came up. Bill came up with a whole list of concerns, which I think we all, shared most of, as far as noise and hours and flags waving or whatever. Those are a number of things discussed. There's parking was discussed. There were a lot of most of the stuff was discussed. What we thought we'd do is have a trial run for one day and to see how that worked, see how it affected anybody. We definitely discussed and were concerned about how that would affect Main Street merchants and whether they would be affected by a food truck down in that corner or not. People feel differently about that, I'm sure. I feel it wouldn't, but anyway, it was gonna be a trial run. We're gonna see how that went. Since that day, the next 2 weekends, she couldn't make it because her truck was being repaired or whatever. And then this weekend, we have Greg's party, his retirement party, so she won't be there this weekend. So if anything, it would be 3 weeks from now, or 2 weeks from now.
Just to clarify, we gave her permission not for one day, but for one weekend.
For one
Yeah,
weekend.
for one weekend, it was a Saturday, Sunday we gave her, for 2 days.
So she won't be here this weekend,
She won't be here this weekend.
following weekend?
Yes.
Following weekend, the 17th is Greg's party, so she won't be there.
So if she's able, she would be allowed to go there the following weekend. We do have an application fee, and it was it $20 a day?
25.
Which we've discussed and said that's, not high enough, but that's what was in the books right now. In order to change that, we have to go through a whole ordeal, so we were leaving that for the moment at $25 just for the weekend. And then following that, depending on how that works, then we would that would also be discussed, the amount that someone would pay to be down there.
So the Tuesday, first meeting after her first weekend, is that gonna be on the docket, food truck? Because right now it seems like you just.
We don't know when she's gonna be there, so when she's there, then we'll
So
put
then
it
you're gonna
on.
evaluate it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, what's the reasoning behind deciding maybe now to possibly allow food trucks? Because I know the village wouldn't give out permits over the years and all this other stuff. I know other people had applied for them and they were refused. Why now? That's a question, I don't know why.
I think they're a good thing, if they're being controlled. I don't think one food truck down there, I think it gives, as Rebecca Ramirez said from the cheese place, it gives, people more options for the village. People don't want to go and have a sit-down dinner or want to go into any of the other establishments, or if they're busy during weekends, it gives them another option.
I don't agree with you at all.
I
Okay,
don't-
there was a food truck that was permitted last summer, was it? Or the summer?
Oh, the hot dog guy,
There's a hot dog
last
guy.
summer.
Last summer. I can't remember his name.
I think it was
Anyway,
So we did permit a food truck, he,
to be in that same spot.
same
yeah.
spot, I think he sold, let me say, 15 hot dogs.
No,
And before, just before we get into that, the reason why it's never come up is no one, since I've been here, has applied. No one,
Unless they-
except for this one person that wanted
Probably
to do
not.
hot dog.
No, you're probably right. I
Unless
know
they've
last year.
applied, I mean, being down at the riverfront is off limits because the code says you can't have a truck down there. So if anybody has asked to do that,
Yeah.
they were probably denied. The gentleman with the hot dogs that we gave permission to last year asked to be down at the end of Main Street. We told him definitely no. We told him he could be down past Mayor's Park. And as Marie said, he didn't sell.
See, a hot dog vendor and a food truck are two entirely different businesses.
Mhm.
Not just selling hot dogs, dirty water, or whatever it might be. Food truck, I know a few people who have them. Food truck, kitchen is pretty extensive. Bigger than my kitchen in my place. They have grills, ovens, they got dishwashers, they got fryolators, they got all sorts of stuff. I haven't seen this woman's truck, but they can do a lot more than just hot dogs.
Her
And,
truck, she's cooking it, pre-cooking everything and then warming it up there.
okay, then
Just
her
so
truck's
you
not
know.
as elaborate, but she still is gonna be there. The problem I have with it is that I'm here January, February, March, April. All of us aren't, people, whether the retail or bar and restaurants, and we go through pretty tough times. And then we get our payday, June, July, August, September, October, November. Okay, that's what we live for. But like, for instance, last year, rain just fell every weekend. Pretty much did, every weekend. It really hurt us. So, but we're brick and mortar. We still stay there. We gotta stay open. I gotta keep my people employed. I gotta keep the lights on. And I have to, I still pay my taxes and this and that, but the food truck can just pack up and drive away. Oh, it's raining today, we're not gonna do any business. I can't do that. And I don't think it's fair for us to have to sit here during those 3 or 4 or 5 months and pay all our bills and pay my food tax or my property tax, school tax, I have a triple net lease, pay my water bill, work together within the community, making donations to charities, not-for-profits, and so on and so forth, and just have somebody that's come up and sit at the end of the street, which is the main artery coming from the mountain to Main Street, and just pick off business. I just find that, I don't understand the reasoning behind why anyone would want to do that to us. That's why I mean us, I mean myself and the other restaurateurs and even the other, whatever, soda shops, Chinese, whatever, pizza place. It's, I just don't think it's fair.
Well, a couple of things. One, like when when C Street comes up, those weekends, whenever, there's almost what I've understood, fist fights because there are no food places to go to. And a lot of times on busy weekends, there's not enough places for people to go to. Hudson Hills, for example, there's people out the door going up the street and down the street. This isn't going to affect them. It's not going to affect the other people on Main. I don't see the argument that it's, I understand what you're saying, that someone shouldn't be taking away business from you,
Right.
but I really don't see them taking business away.
Hudson Hills closes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right?
So they don't get hikers. I get a lot of hikers. I get a real lot of hikers. And if they poach 20 people from me,
Mhm.
and I have a $30 per check average per person, 20 people, that's $30. What is that? That's $400? That's $400 in sales. $600.
But when I was in your place, one day, and you had, and the place wasn't full, and you had to turn people away because your kitchen couldn't supply a party of 6 people when the place wasn't full at all. Because I was in your place having a drink, and there was a number of people in there, but you turn people away because your kitchen, I'm assuming the reason why you don't take a party of 6 or more is because your kitchen.
My kitchen cannot do large groups, but that's my problem. Why
But how does, if they're taken away from you, then how does that, if you don't have a kitchen that can supply? I think it's
I
supply
have
and
28
demand.
seats, and I try to turn the dining room 4 or 5 times on a Saturday. If I only turn it 4 times, then that's gonna be $600 to $800. If I can't turn it 5 times. How I seat people and how I arrange and manage my dining room has nothing to do with the fact that I can't handle it. I can. And if the boats come, I'm with you, David, that when the boats come, yeah, they do have a problem, because there's only 400, 500 seats in town, and you got 800 people getting up the boat. I don't know if they're gonna walk all the way down to the Mayor's Park to get a slice of, or get a chicken sandwich, but it just doesn't seem fair. It just doesn't, because we work really hard to try to do the right thing, and this is the time when we get paid.
And do you think that people are going in there for food or food and beer?
Food.
They're not
Last
going
week
in
I
there
sold
for beer.
230 hamburgers, 28 seats. Yeah, they're going, that's just burgers, that's not counting tacos, that's not counting all the other items. So it's probably close to 300 some odd covered. I can't afford to take 30.
Doug, do you feel that the location of the food truck would pick off potential hikers that are coming back
Customers?
to the?
Yeah.
And is there any other category of people or who want to eat that you think would be attracted or would stop at a food truck at that location?
The hikers are ages from 21 to 31. They're all millennials, whatever tag you want to put on, handle you want to put on. They stop, they see that, a nice piece of grass, maybe a picnic table, whatever they have. They sit on their backpack, get their sandwich, and sit there out in the breeze looking out at the Hudson River. I don't have an outdoor patio. They already know that, so they're going to go there. If they know I don't have an outdoor patio, they're gonna go to the depot. I know we all do decent business on the weekends, but we try to save our money so we can get us through the months that we can. And we're always getting hit with, with different. 2 years after I opened, they increased the minimum wage, or the wage for waiters and servers, by 50%. And now this is gonna keep increasing. And then someday, it's gonna get up to almost $15 an hour for a waiter. Now, that's probably gonna mean people are gonna lose jobs. They're gonna have to, because I can't pay a waiter $15 an hour. It's just not possible unless I charge you $25 for a hamburger. So my point is that we structure the business. We have food costs, labor costs, and all the other costs, fixed costs, so on and so forth, that we go by in order to figure out how we're gonna make any money, how many people we hire, and what days we're gonna be open, and how many people. So, I mean, just to throw that into the mix, it just is, because all I know is it's a slippery slope. One, and maybe another one shows up. I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but you never know. One shows up, another one shows up. Next thing you know, there's one down on Dockside, or wherever the hell it might be, or it might be up on the corner of Main Street and Chestnut. I don't know. All I know is that these food trucks in Manhattan, I know this is not Manhattan, the food trucks in Manhattan by Rockefeller Center and all that have put so many restaurants there out of business, lunchtime restaurants, because one guy I know, he'll do 140 covers at lunch out of a food truck. And I know this for a fact because I did his POS system. He has someone standing in the line taking orders. I take an order takes an order from the customer, swipes his credit card, the order goes into the truck. He swipes the credit card, he gives the guy the receipt or girl. By the time they get to that window, their food's ready and they walk out. And they can do 140 covers at lunchtime in an hour.
Doug, how would you be with the days that the boats come in, if we would allow a couple of food trucks in Dockside?
That I wouldn't mind, but why do we have to take outside? Why can't it be offered to like myself, like us to do it, us vendors, or Bobby or Jimmy?
You could.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think
right now too.
First pick or first chance or first at it.
And we're at this point, we were doing one. If we wanted to do something, we discussed doing something at Dockside when the boats come in, to let a couple of food vendors,
Yeah.
It could be anybody. I mean, you guys could definitely ask for a permit to do that.
But from what I understand, Putnam County, you can't get a food vendor's license unless you're military, ex-military.
I don't.
I think that's true.
No, I don't
That's not
think so.
true.
No.
All right, then you ask Greg at Greg's Good Eats, because he's ex-military and that's how he got his license, or permit.
She's
I
got,
mean,
Lynn
that's-
has a license.
I have a license, well, I did, I don't operate in
All right,
Putnam
I'll
County
find out.
anymore,
I'm
so.
pretty sure, I'm
The
pretty
food
sure.
truck, the food trucks that came to our festival had to get their $50 temporary.
Yeah, it's a temporary,
from,
food service
lease over there.
license.
It's-
All right, I could be
yeah,
wrong. I'll
yeah.
look.
And it's,
I mean, would you
it's
put up a-
specific for a particular day.
Yeah. that's
No, I
$50.
understand that, but in Manhattan, I know it's not near city, but that's the case. You can't get a hot dog stand without having
Yeah,
some
that's-
sort of
well, that's been
military
like that
ID.
for
Now,
years.
of course, one guy has a military ID and everybody else who's working the food trucks or renting them out don't.
Well-
And that's how that works.
I mean, that's been like that for years with the newspaper stands and.
Yeah,
trucks and stuff.
right.
But that's not up here.
Anyways, I'm sorry I just get so passionate about this, but I just worry that I can just see it coming down.
I
the road. And
understand,
then,
I
you know,
understand
I mean,
you.
'cause you're not going.
If I was still there, I would be very, very concerned about picking
Yeah.
off business because Go-Go Pop's got a huge influx
Sure.
of people coming off the mountain.
Sure.
On those
We did.
weekends. And yeah, they walked right by that spot.
It's
So
kind
I
of funny
think
to
that's
hear
why
that
we
though,
wanted
because
to.
for years, all I've heard is the hikers bring nothing. The hikers walk in and they walk out and they buy nothing. That's
Not to the
that was
food
that was
service
the
operator. That's
mantra
what all the
from
retailers
from the
say.
Main Street vendors was they do nothing for our
I
community.
never said that.
You've never heard that?
No, I've heard it, but I never said it.
Hold
Because for retailers, no, they
No, for
don't buy
retailers,
stuff
right,
to
so
take
the
home, but
boutiques
for food service
like
operators.
Karen, like Kismet, boutiques like that. Maybe Old Souls might do some. General Store does. Go-Go Pops and John and what is her name up at the Cappuccino. Cappuccino does
yeah.
well. I mean,
Well, that and
it's-
even Meraki did too, because they had some foods, you know,
Right,
snacky
right,
food.
right.
stuff. Food, they will come.
Yeah, it's some of the retailers, and I understand, because they're not coming up here to buy a pair of socks or, you know,
Or an
girl-
antique.
Or an antique.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, that, you hear that a lot. The hikers do nothing, and they don't care about the hikers, but you know what, they're here, you gotta live with it. So
It
they
just depends
figure
on the
out.
business,
Right,
you know, but it was a boon, it's a boon to us.
Yeah.
Or
well,
used to be me.
yeah,
but,
well, it
you
still
know.
is to, Tim, who sells your go-go pops.
Right,
That's Tim, right?
yeah,
Yeah, he sells a lot of them, I see him walking down the street.
yeah.
Anyways,
So,
that's
you know,
just,
we're
that's just
reliant
my
on that.
opinion.
So with the
I'll stick
festival
with it.
this past weekend, did you think that affected your business?
I got some afterwards.
I mean, because they had several food trucks and food and everything down there, so does that affect your business?
I was still busy. I was very busy this weekend. I was very busy,
beautiful.
like
What
I
was
just
the-
told you.
What was
I
the admission charge for the
I don't
food
know.
event?
$30.
$30.
That to me was
Yeah, different, yeah.
a little different situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim,
Well-
we haven't heard from you.
I try to be a good listener when I can.
So
I'm not drinking beer.
At this point, I mean, we've given the select commission
Thank
you.
a
Yes,
weekend, and
I
I don't
understand
know
that.
what weekend, but we will rehash.
Yeah.
you know,
Well, that
after
is-
that.
And
That's
the
why I'm
idea-
surprised. I saw, I'm sorry to interrupt. On the docket, I saw it was, today was food truck. I'm like, the article I read previously was that after you studied it and saw how it affected or whatever it did, that you would then have it on the agenda. I was surprised to see it today because I know she hasn't been there in a couple weeks and it's still gonna be 2 more weeks. So I was surprised. I wouldn't be here tonight if I didn't see that.
Well, I think one
I'll
thing
take
was
it
to
first.
clear up some of the rumors out there that we were gonna have food trucks lining all the streets and, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. So I think, to be really clear, it would be one truck only and in one location was what we pretty much just talked about before we even moved this ahead.
See how it goes. And I'm all for trying, you know, see
And
and
that was
looking.
the
I'm not
idea.
just gonna
We're
burn
gonna
things
permit
down.
it for one weekend, see how it goes, get feedback.
Yeah.
One other thing, we can't control food trucks setting up on private property. So if a food truck, and I've seen them do it, wants to set up on the parking lot in front of the girls softball field, they can do that. They don't require any
Where?
from us.
Where?
On Route 9D,
Yeah.
immediately north of Northern Avenue.
Yeah.
The parking lot that's adjacent to the girls softball field, the Haldane girls softball field.
Across from the football field.
Right.
Yes, yes, that's not our call. Another possibility is the Nest. Somebody could, like there used to be a farmer's market at the Nest, somebody could set up food trucks at the Nest.
Yeah, well, I did
Not
not
our
know
call.
that. I did not know that. So you can just open up, I mean, obviously, you have to have a permit in order to sell food, you have to have a, what do you call it?
Temporary food
Board of
service
Health.
permit.
Yeah, food service permit and all that stuff, like this, I'm sure, I hope this woman does down there. Food handler certificate and all that, Board of Health,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, the truck itself has to be permitted.
Yeah, right, I know, they have to pass inspection on that.
But, you know, also Scenic Hudson could put a truck down at the Foundry Preserve, if they wanted to.
Right.
You know, that's their property.
Well,
so
maybe they will, they see this, they go like, hey, what the heck?
Who knows?
It'll just be all food truck.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to, considering that, I would be, it would be a good spot, but.
No,
yeah.
no, I don't think so, but down the end of the ball field will be good. It will be real good.
So the idea was to permit it for one weekend,
Yeah.
and then get feedback from everybody.
Yeah.
So,
And-
and also, remember, this is a community member too. I think that's important to remember.
I don't know. I don't-
Michelle McGuire.
They live in Fishkill.
Yeah, but she's worked at the bank, her husband is a plumber here.
She may live in Cole, is she on the board? She's on the board.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure she lives in Fishkill. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter who she
Regardless,
is, I'm
you
just
know.
saying,
Yeah,
it's
She's,
not.
she's well appreciated.
I'm not making it a
That's
personal
right.
attack on her.
I know.
It has nothing to do with her at all.
And that shouldn't be an issue.
And I think it's also important to remember the donations that we get from our Main Street merchants, Main Street and Fair Street merchants too.
I think
When-
our initial discussion too is, we brought up, I didn't believe, and whatever, can prove me wrong or whatever, that it would take that much business away. I mean, we weren't trying to do something to, make $20 down there.
Oh, I didn't think there was any, yeah, I didn't think there was any motive to it, other than.
No, it was, we thought about that, I didn't think it would. So we'll see, and if it does, then she's fine with it. If we told her tomorrow, you can't do it, she's fine, and we just have to tighten up our code that there's no food trucks allowed in the village, pretty much. Because that's the only place we're gonna allow it, so if it really, if it really affects the merchants on Main Street, then we don't have it.
But we wanna leave open the.
What's that?
We wanna leave open the dockside opportunity.
Yeah, the dockside, we might have something down there occasionally or whatever.
Right.
Or a food
I
truck.
would hope that they would
rodeo.
come to us.
What's that?
They would come to the vendors on Main Street.
Yeah.
We would like that.
You know, even with the retail, I mean, I'm not saying you want a bunch of retail down there, but some of these retail guys would like general store sells food. He has food, but it'd be like jams and jellies and all that stuff.
What we're trying to do is to.
Alleviate the bulk.
Address the problem that we don't have enough seats in the village to serve the customers on the C Street.
Right.
Right, and they're here for a very specific period of time, so they wanna eat.
I know. A lot of them don't eat.
No, they bring.
Other groups can, which I'm not doing anymore, 10 will sit at the bar for 3.5 hours. Or at a table, they don't eat. They're just up here for a 3.5-hour drink fest, and then walk down the street. That's okay, I know where they're all from.
Okay, so we'll let you know when we do this trial run, if it's whatever weekend it is.
All right,
Go from
I
there.
express my concerns.
I'd rather have you do it on Facebook.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
I would never do that. I would never.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
And we'll definitely take everything you said into consideration.
All right, thank you.
Well, that's a good idea, how to dispense the whole thing.
Since we're open to, right now we're on the public, so does anyone else have anything for the rest of we just have batch bills to approve? Anything else from the audience since we're in the mode on anything else? Okay, so we'll move ahead. Lynn?
Okay, I move to approve batch 5238.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
For a total of $67,834.30.
That's batch 5238.
Yep,
Did you make the motion or?
I made the
Second.
motion.
All in favor?
Aye. And now I move to approve batch number 5227 for a total of $38,283.66.
All second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. When are we seeing each other again?
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night.
Just came back and you adjourned?
5 o'clock?